R5 is 15 k ohms, R6 is 75 ohms, and R7, which is right in here, is 1K. So solder those into place. We'll do our last resistors, then we'll start on our caps. R8 is 2.7 k ohms, R9 is 27 k ohms, and R10 is 0 ohms. Now 0 ohms, it stands out because it's only got one single black line through it. Again, if you don't know resistor color code, don't worry, just use your multimeter. If you're building this kit, I'm assuming you have a multimeter anyway. So solder those into place. We'll do the ceramics, then we'll do the electrolytics. First thing you want to do is look for your 4 capacitors labeled 104. The capacitors labeled 104 are 0.1 microfarad. And since they're ceramic, they're not polarized, you can place them in either way, as long as you place them into the right footprints. Now, C5, C7, C12, and C13 are the footprints for these capacitors. Let's see if we can find them. There's C5, C13, C7, and C12 is right here. So solder your capacitors into place. We've got 3 ceramics left. They're labeled 47, 10, and 33. We got 147, 110, and 133. The ones labeled 33 are 33 nanofarads. The one labeled 10 is 10 picofarads, and the one labeled 47 is 47 picofarads. Now, 47 picofarads goes in C4. 10 picofarads goes into C3, and your 2 33 nanofarad capacitors go into C8 and C10. So solder those bad boys in place. We're going to do all of our electrolytics in one step, and then we'll do our diodes. Before we start doing our electrolytics, please note that each electrolytic has a white line through it. That's an indicator that the pin closest to that white line is your negative pin. The pin closest to the black side is your positive pin. That goes for all 5 electrolytics. There are 2 values here. There are 4 220 microfarad, which are the bigger ones, and there is a single 10 microfarad, which is the smaller one. C14 is right here. That's your 10 microfarad. C1, C2, C9, and C6 are your 220 microfarad electrolytics. Now, in order to determine which is your positive and which is your negative pin, there are 2 indicators. There's a plus symbol beside each capacitor, or beside the pin that's positive, and as well, the positive pin on each of these footprints is actually square. Your circle is your negative. So, if in the case of C9, what I would do is I would take my 220 microfarad electrolytic capacitor, and I would place the pin with the white line in the circular hole, and my positive pin with the black side of the capacitor into the pin with the positive symbol and the square footprint. So let me just put this one in, and I'll show you how it's going to look. Sorry if I stumbled through that, guys. So as you can see, black side, white line. We have 2 1N4007 diodes. They're placed in the D2 and D7 slot. There is a white stripe on one side and black on the other. The white stripe indicates the negative, or cathode, and the black side indicates the positive, or anode. On the footprint, you'll see something like this, minus the plus and minus signs. This, think of it as a triangle with a minus sign on it. That's how I remember it. This is your positive side, the base of the triangle, and the side with the line on the end of the triangle is your negative side. So in this case, your negative side, sides are closest to the capacitors, and your positives are on the outside. So place your white striped sides closer to the capacitors, and your black sides closer to the edges. Like the standard diode, your LED has a long pin and a short pin. The short pin is your negative, the long pin is your positive. Now the diode footprint the LED footprint is a little bit more ambiguous. It's the D1 footprint right here. However, the easy way to determine which is the positive and negative side is there's a flat side of the footprint in this case, the side with the D1 indicator on it. So place your negative pin, your shorter pin, in the right side and your long pin in the left side and solder into place. By now you're probably tired of listening to me talk, so I'm going to try to hurry this up. You've got one TO20 LM317 variable power supply, and that's got a flat side with a rating on it and a curved side. So the U3 footprint right here has a flat side and a curved side. From a bird's eye view, when you place the LM317 into the U3 slot, make sure that from a bird's eye view that the flat side of the regulator matches the flat side of the footprint, and that the curved side of the regulator matches the curved side of the footprint. The microphone goes in the mic slot, labeled MIC, right here. Now, you might be able to see it. It's kind of buried by the resistor above it, but there's a plus sign right here, which means that our top pin here is our positive pin. Now, on the mic itself, it's very hard to see. If you purchase this, you'll see it yourself. There's a very, very small green speck closest to the negative pin. So make sure that the pin closest to that negative speck goes in the negative side of the mic slot, and that the other pin goes into your positive, which is on the top there. Solder that into place. Next we're going to do the potentiometers. We're kind of almost done. We've got two variable resistors here. Let's talk about pot 1 for a second. On the bottom there's 3 pins, and there's 2 tabs. These tabs, I've flattened them so that they're flush with the backing. If you don't, you're going to have trouble getting it down to the board. So as you can see, 3 pins, and there's 5 pins on the board, but you need to place in 1, 2, and 5. Pin 1, 2, and 5 really only fits in one way, as you can see. Easy to do. Solder into place. Next you've got your pot 2, and that really only fits in the board one way. You can't really screw that up. So solder those 2 into place, and next we'll do the input ports. You've got your 5mm jack port for power, optional power. It comes with a 9-volt connector and this plug, so you can use a 9-volt to power it. This is an optional external mic connection, so you can put in your own microphone. That really only fits in one way. It should fit right down on the board. So solder those into place. Make sure there's no shorts. The jack fits in only one way as well, so no explanation needed there. If you wanted to put on your own solder on your own supply, this is your ground, this is your power, this is unused. So solder those 2 into place. Lastly, you've got a power plug. As you notice, that there's an opening in the front there, and on the other side there's no opening. On the footprint there is a little opening, so from a bird's eye view, make sure that the side with the opening fits in from that. There we go. Yeah, so make sure it fits in that way, so that when you plug it in, you're not going to reverse. You plug in your 9-volt connector, you're going to have it in the proper orientation. If you turn that around and you place the connector in, you're going to place 9 volts in your ground line and ground to your 9-volt line, and it's going to screw stuff up. You don't want to do it. So take care in doing this. Place those in, and next we'll do the jumpers. The switch has writing on one side and not the other. Make sure that the side with the writing on it faces, that's the side with the writing on it, if you can see, goes facing the capacitor. The side with no writing on it should face the outside. There are 2 jumpers, J1 and right here, speaker. So place those in, solder them down, and when you're done, place the jumper header on the J1 jumper. The dip switch has 2 sides, one side with numbers and one side with on and DP. Make sure that it's in this orientation with the numbers facing this edge of the board. Place it flush down on the board. Make sure there's no shorts when you solder it. The sockets, you'll notice that the large socket on the footprint, there's a little notch there, and on the small socket there's a notch there. On the actual sockets there's a notch on the left hand side. From a bird's eye view, when you place them, make sure you match the socket, the notch on the socket to the notch on the board. Now on the ICs themselves there are similar notches. you want to make sure that you place the notches. You want to make sure that you're placing this in the right orientation, or else if you place it backwards, you're gonna screw up your board. So that's what these notches are for. They're to show you the orientation. So match the socket to the footprint and match the IC notch to the notch on the socket. I know that sounds a bit weird, but I'll show you when I've soldered it all in and placed the ICs in the sockets. And we're done. So now what you want to do is take your speaker lead, it doesn't matter orientation, and plug it in. There you go. And you want to have your 9-volt connector placed in. The plug only fits in one way. We talked about the plug. Now that's one option. I'm going to use this. I've used my 9-volt battery in my last video, so I'm going to plug it in using a 9-volt wall transformer here, and then we'll test it. On-off switch. Volume. You can switch between the robot modes. More explained in my other video how to use this. If you want, you can actually hear me right now. This is the microphone right here, so it looks like it works. Hello, how you doing today? So that's pretty cool. It's really sensitive. It picks you up. I've got this modified with my telephone. Let's just check out some of the other functions. Let's take the robot voice jumper off. Hello. Now you can adjust the modulated sound using that. Hello. You can do a lot with this board. I modified a telephone with it. I'm going to make a video later today. What I'll do is, right now, I will actually plug in an external microphone, just to show you how that works. Now the kit doesn't come with one of these, but if you have one, you can plug it in to the green port here, and then you can talk into it from far away. So let's turn it back on and see how it works. Hello. Hey guys, how's it going? Hello. Deep voice. Pretty cool, huh? So, yeah, so you can do this yourself. I'll show you how to modify a telephone with one of these. I'm going to take this off because that's kind of annoying. And if you're interested, they can be found at engineeringshock.com or electroniclessons.com. Fun kit. We also have these fully assembled. So on Sunday you should see a video come up of me using my modified telephone with this. I'm going to prank call some people this weekend. It's going to be great. Thanks for watching, everyone.